to God that this video is not clickbait. This is real. This actually happened. So the Houston Texans trade DeAndre Hopkins in a 4th round pick to the Arizona Cardinals for David Johnson in exchange for him, a 2nd round pick, and a 4th round pick for the 2021 NFL Draft. Now, before I get into it, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, because I upload NFL videos and college football videos daily. So, I mean, I gotta check my eyes real quick because I don't know if I'm being deceived by what I'm seeing on this screen. So, DeAndre Hopkins, the Texans trade their all-pro wide receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, in a 4th round pick to the Arizona Cardinals, who give them halfback David Johnson, a 2nd round pick for this year's draft, and a 4th round pick for the 2021 NFL Draft. And I'm just, wow, I don't even know what to say, man. But simply for the fact that Bill O'Brien got took into school in this trade. I don't know who the general manager is that executed this trade for the Arizona Cardinals, but he should be arrested for theft and robbery, because this is what this is. You see, the Arizona Cardinals don't need David Johnson. They were looking to trade him. They got Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake was an upgrade, and they trade David Johnson, who is injury prone, hasn't really played a full 16-game season in a while, for an all-pro wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins. And no Houston Texans fans can come on here and try to make this trade seem like Houston won, because they didn't. They got absolutely robbed. It's several halfbacks who you could have brought back that can do the same thing David Johnson can. Now, I know David Johnson is really good. He's, like, very versatile. He's kind of like in that Le'Veon Bell discussion. Like, he can line up at wide receiver and things like that. But listen, you could have gotten several halfbacks that could have did that. You could have just kept Duke Johnson and Carlos Hyde, or that tandem. I mean, Carlos Hyde was a good runner of the football, and Duke Johnson was a guy who could give you those receiving yards by lining up wide and things like that. The Houston Texans got robbed in this trade. It's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. And you Houston Texans fans can say all you want to try to swing this trade around and make it seem like, oh, you got DeAndre Hopkins wasn't good and all that. Listen, I don't care what Houston Texans fans is going to come on here and try to make this trade seem like they're getting fair compensation. You got robbed. You're getting an injury-prone halfback for basically, and you're giving away DeAndre Hopkins, your best wide receiver, arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL. Now, for the Arizona Cardinals, this is a great trade. This is an absolutely great trade. You're getting one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, and also you potentially could end up drafting one in the 2020 NFL Draft. Probably could end up being CeeDee Lamb, or you could look to get some offensive linemen. But, I mean, the Arizona Cardinals absolutely won this trade, because they don't need David Johnson. They already got Kenyon Drake, who was a better fit in Cliff Kingsbury's offense because of how fast he was and what he was able to do, versus he struggled to really find ways to utilize David Johnson. Plus, David Johnson was injury prone. So now you're giving Kyler Murray a true number 1 wide receiver to throw the football to, on top of the young receivers that they already have, plus they draft one and the 2020 NFL Draft that's coming up in a couple of weeks. And for the Houston Texans, I mean, you're getting David Johnson, who is injury prone, but I mean, when he's healthy, he is a really good halfback when he's able to stay healthy. I mean, I know his stats might not say that, but I mean, he had 300 rushing yards and like 300 and something receiving yards as well. So, I mean, when he's able to stay healthy, he's pretty good. But I mean, I still think they could have went in free agency, probably tried to get a guy like a Kareem Hunt, maybe give up a 2nd round pick for Kareem Hunt. I think the Cleveland Browns put either the 1st round or 2nd round tender on Kareem Hunt. But I mean, I think it was several alternatives. If you really need a halfback that bad, you could have went in free agency and got some pretty good halfbacks. You could have brought in Melvin Gordon in free agency. So I mean, this trade made absolutely no sense on the side of the Houston Texans. I understand the fact that you needed a halfback, but at the expense of giving up one of the best receivers in the NFL to the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals general manager, their front office should all be arrested for a lifetime sentence on robbery, because this is what this trade was. It was a robbery. You gave up David Johnson, who was an injury-prone halfback, and you got DeAndre Hopkins in return. In my opinion, the Arizona Cardinals have already won the offseason from this trade. They should win front office of the offseason for executing this trade, because this is what this trade was. It was an absolute robbery. And now I understand why Houston Texans fans want to fire Bill O'Brien, because of questionable decisions like this. This trade made absolutely no sense. You're going to trade away one of the biggest pieces of your offense for an injury-prone halfback in David Johnson. Now, if you're a Houston Texans fan, you're probably typing in the comment section, oh, you got to think about the upside. You got to think about what David Johnson brings us. I mean, he's a good halfback when it comes to catching the football and running the football as well. He's in that Le'Veon Bell discussion. I understand that. But this is a guy that struggles to stay on the field and struggles to stay healthy. And also, this is a guy who the Houston Texans, they don't have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. So, I mean, I don't care what Houston Texans fans get offended or dislike the video. The truth is the truth. You got robbed. That's the truth. I mean, there's no politer way to say this. Bill O'Brien. Now I see why Houston Texans fans want Bill O'Brien fired. Because this trade made absolutely no sense. They got butt raped. They got butt raped by executing this trade right here. Like, I'm running out of words to describe it. I mean, you're trading DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson. David freaking Johnson. There was several good alternatives that you could have gotten. Melvin Gordon in free agency. Probably could have tried to get Kareem Hunt. I mean, there was several alternatives. If you really needed a halfback that bad, you could have gotten one in free agency. You could have gotten Melvin Gordon for fairly cheap, because the halfback market isn't really out of this world right now. So you probably could have gotten Melvin Gordon for a pretty reasonable price, and you got a lot of cap space to spend. So, I mean, this trade made absolutely no sense. If you needed a halfback that bad, you could have just signed Melvin Gordon. Could have got Kareem Hunt. I mean, there was several alternatives instead of giving away your best wide receiver. One of the best wide receivers in the NFL. This trade was dumb on the part of the Houston Texans when you could have improved your team. You could have just gotten Melvin Gordon, Kareem Hunt, or drafted a halfback in this upcoming draft and potentially have a better team. Now, you're coming back an even worse team, because there's no way you can tell me that David Johnson makes the Houston Texans better. Now, maybe if they got David Johnson, they still didn't trade away DeAndre Hopkins, then yeah, this offense would be better. But this offense is a lot worse, in my opinion, now without DeAndre Hopkins. Now you got to count on Will Fuller to be your number one wide receiver. And that's a risk itself, because Will Fuller also struggles to stay healthy as well. So now you're riding on the fact that you're trusting David Johnson and Will Fuller, who are now two of your best players on the offensive side of the ball, to stay healthy. Which neither one of those guys have been able to do that. So, I mean, for the Houston Texans, man, I mean, I understand the upside. But, I mean, I still don't think you had to give up your best wide receiver to get David Johnson. I just don't see it. This trade was a robbery. The Arizona Cardinals have won front office of the year in the offseason. Now, I don't care what other trades happen. This is the trade that the Arizona Cardinals made that will put this front office on tap for a pay raise. Because they deserve one after this. They got away with robbery. Armed robbery, a felony, they should be arrested right now. Because, I mean, you got one of the best receivers in the NFL for David Johnson, who is literally injury prone. I mean, you breathe on David Johnson, he goes down with an injury for basically nothing. And I'm just like, wow. I mean, like, if you're a Houston Texans fan right now, you got to be on suicide watch right now. You probably want to go in your bathroom. You probably want to go drink bleach. Because, I mean, I kind of want to do it. And I'm not even a Houston Texans fan, because I'm just like, wow. Absolutely wow. I don't even know what to think, and I promise you, this is not clickbait. I mean, when I first saw the report, I thought it was a joke. I absolutely thought this was a joke. Bill O'Brien should be fired after this move. If David Johnson doesn't work, he better hope that David Johnson can stay healthy. He better have the best personal trainers, medical staff, healthcare professionals on his staff to make sure David Johnson is able to stay healthy. But even then, I still don't think David Johnson was worth giving up your best receiver, one of the best receivers of this past decade. Now, I don't know, maybe DeAndre Hopkins wanted out of Houston. Maybe he demanded a trade or something like that. But, I mean, when we have saw some rumors about DeAndre Hopkins wanting to get out of Houston, and, I mean, the fact that they didn't even get a first-round pick. I mean, yes, you get David Johnson, but you should have at least got a first-round pick in exchange. So, I mean, the Arizona Cardinals just got away with armed robbery and theft. They just finessed and robbed the Houston Texans for one of the best receivers in the NFL, for David Johnson, who is an injury-prone halfback who struggles to stay healthy. So let me know what you guys think about this trade down in the comment section down below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and content. Thanks for watching.